reggae music crawls into your bloodstream like some vampire amoeba from the psychic rapids of Upper Niger consciousness. I said, I don't know what that means, but I gotta find it. I went out that night and bought a used copy in Berkeley of Catch a Fire. Saw The Harder They Come the next night. Bought the soundtrack on the way home. My life changed forever. This is the heart of the archive. This is the Bob Marley cabinet. And these are unreleased tapes of live shows, interviews, outtakes, demos, rehearsals. The Dream concert with Stevie Wonder in '75. The announcement of the assassination attempt and the Smile Jamaica concert 2 nights later. And these are 5 of the 7 Apollo shows. Gabon, both nights in Zimbabwe, the night of the riot, and then the full concert the following night. Biggest show of his life, Milan. 110,000 people came to see him in a stadium where the Pope had appeared the week before, and Bob Marley outdrew the Pope in Italy. These are the last 5 shows of his life, the announcement of his death, the funeral, the tribute shows from around the world, and then the Wailers Band continuing on, and interviews with various people involved in his life. And this is Bunny, and these are the 64 hours of interviews for Bunny's autobiography that Leroy Jody Pearson and I did in 1990. He has refused to publish his book. And down on the floor there's a wooden box with 1,800 pages of transcripts. And this is the whole story. This is everything the Wailers ever did. This is his story of moving in with Bob when he was 8 years of age, right through Blackheart Man in '75, almost day by day. So this is the Peter Tosh drawer. I'd get a call 3 or 4 times a year from different parts of the world from him to overnight him stuff that he was looking for. Just before he was killed, he called me, because No Nuclear War had just come out. He was working on the next album already. And I'm pretty sure the song I sent, because I didn't pay much attention, it was just another call from Peter looking for a piece of music. But I think it was Here Comes the Judge that he wanted to re-record. This is the Reggae Library. This is all reggae print in here. These are reggae magazines, all arranged alphabetically and then chronologically within each title. This is a big section of Japanese reggae magazines here. And in November of '67, as I was leaving for Vietnam, I bought the very first issue of Rolling Stone in Berkeley and subscribed immediately, so I have a full 42-year run of Rolling Stone. Probably missing about 10 issues out of the whole run. And these are part of the 110 cubic feet, and that's about 120 cubic feet now, of clippings. And to wrap your head around that, think of a foot square box, a foot high, and a line of them from home plate to first base, and then another 30 feet beyond. And that's clippings. And there's big boxes of Bunny, Peter, Ziggy. And these are 5 boxes of clippings about the Life of Bob Marley show that I do. These are from all over the world. Top shelf is all Bob Marley CDs, and this is a series of ultimately 15 discs that the Frenchman Bruno Blum and I produced to bridge the Coxon and the Island eras from '67 to '72. First time available to the public, things like Selassie is the Chapel and Treadle and all kinds of rare singles. This is reggae. This is the Wailers shelf minus about 250 sleeves. This is Bunny. This is Peter. Bob starts here and goes to here minus 144 sleeves. This is Ziggy. These are the I3. And then this is stuff that I wrote liner notes for, or took the cover pictures of, or produced. But basically these are my liner notes. Next shelf is reggae. Below it is reggae, and the second half is African. Bottom shelf is pop, going back to my first record in 1954, a 78 of Shaboom. So these are Bob's first records. for Leslie Kong. Called him Robert Marley, but he was always changing people's names. He changed James Chambers into Jimmy Cliff, and on Bob's second record for him, he called him Bobby Martell. And there's Blackwell releasing Bob's first records in England in 1973. This is Love Won't Be Mine, and signed by Beverly Kelso from the original Wailers, who's on here. Roland Alfonso and Lloyd Nibbs from the Scatolites, who played on it. Coxon, who produced it. And Peter and Bunny. This is Lemon Tree. There's only about 5 known copies. I paid $600 for that. This is really cool. This is signed by all 3 women who sang with the original Wailers. Beverly Kelso, Joe Higgs' wife, who sings on Lonesome Feeling, and Cherry Green. And it's green vinyl. Here's Bob as a spiritual singer. The Freedom Singers singing a spiritual called Let the Lord Be Seen in You on Coxon's spiritual label. But it's Bob. And this is really cool, because they couldn't get their harmonies together on this one, so they had to call Joe Higgs in to bail them out. And he sings on it with his wife, Sylvia Richards. Peter and Bunny, Coxon, Roland Al, and Lloyd Nibbs on the back. So, you know, people are always asking me what my records are worth, and I don't know. How do you put a value on these things? They're irreplaceable. They're not priceless, but they're irreplaceable. So, English Island, Studio One, Wayland Solem, Upsetter, Tough Gong, and Tough Gong. And this is Bunny, and that's Peter. And 99% of everything Bob Marley ever released I have in those drawers. And this is Lee Perry's board tape of Who Cult the Game and Rastaman Live Up. And on the back he wrote Ex-Rasta. Push Bob's elbow. Me? Yeah. Give it a good push. It's the Reggae Decompression Chamber. Come on in. Oh, there's at least 3,000 buttons in the archives, and these come from all over the world. That's really the folk art of the movement, isn't it? This was bootlegged on the streets of Kingston. I was so proud. It's a picture I took of Bob and Family Man in '79 in San Diego. Some guy was bootlegging him in downtown Kingston. And this is my favorite picture of Bob. Bruce Talman and I met when we were traveling with Bob in '79. He was an African-American photographer who took the first cover picture Bob ever had on a black magazine in America, and that wasn't until '78. And Bob took him to Gabon with him in January of '80, and he's walking along the beach one morning, and this young fellow comes up to him and says, "What's this Rasta stuff? What do you mean coming to Africa, telling us about Africa?" And just as Bob started to answer, Bruce took that picture. I love the humanity of it. And I love this picture too. This was taken by Tony Bernard for the LA Times in 1973 when Joe Higgs had replaced Bunny briefly in the group before Peter left. And it's Bob, Joe Higgs, Fams, Carly, Peter, and Wyatt. Isn't that a great shot? And there's Chris Blackwell as a Vampire by Scratch, and I asked him what he meant when he signed it Brack, and he said Bracula.